They're out there, black boys in white suits up before me to commit sex acts in the hall and get it mopped up before I can catch them. They're mopping when I come out of the dorm, all three of them sulking and hating everything, the time of day, the place they're at here, the people they gotta work around. When they hate like this, better if they don't see me. I creep along the wall quiet as dust in my canvas shoes, but they got special sensitive equipment to text my fear, and they all look up, all three at once, eyes glittering over the black faces like the hard glitter of radio tubes out of the back of an old radio. Here's the chief, the super chief, fellas. Old Chief Broom. Here you go, Chief Broom. Stick a mop in my hand and motion to the spot they aim for me to clean today, and I go. One swats the back of my legs with a broom handle to hurry me past. Huh! You look at him shag it. Big enough to eat apples off my head, and he mine like a baby. They laugh, and then I hear them mumbling behind me, heads close together. Hum of black machinery, humming hate and death and other hospital secrets. They don't bother not talking out loud about their hate secrets when I'm nearby because they think I'm deaf and dumb. Everybody thinks so. I'm cagey enough to fool them that much. If my being half Indian ever helped me in any way in this dirty life, it helped me being cagey. Helped me all these years. I'm mopping near the ward door when a key hits it from the other side, and I know it's the big nurse by the way the lockworks cleave to the key. Soft and swift and familiar. She's been around locks so long. She slides through the door with a gust of cold and locks the door behind her, and I see her fingers trail across the polished steel, tip of each finger the same color as her lips. Funny orange, like the tip of a soldering iron. Color so hot or so cold if she touches you with it, you can't tell which. She's carrying her woven wicker bag like the ones the Umpqua tribe sells out along the hot August highway, a bag shape of toolbox with a hemp handle. She's had it all the years I've been here. It's a loose weave and I can see inside it. There's no compact or lipstick or woman stuff. She's got that bag full of 1,000 parts she aims to use in her duties today. Wheels and gears, cogs polished to a hard glitter, tiny pills that gleam like porcelain, needles, forceps, watchmaker's pliers, rolls of copper wire. She dips a nod at me as she goes past. I let them all push me back to the wall and smile and try to foul her equipment up as much as possible by not letting her see my eyes. They can't tell so much about you if you got your eyes closed. In my dark, I hear her rubber heels hit the tile and the stuff in her wicker bag clash with the jar of her walking as she passes me in the hall. She walks stiff. When I open my eyes, she's down the hall, about to turn to the glass nurse's station, where she'll spend the day sitting at her desk and looking out her window and making notes on what goes out in front of her in the day room during the next 8 hours. Her face looks pleased and peaceful at the thought. Then she sights the black boys. They're still down there together, mumbling to one another. They didn't hear her come to the ward. They sense she's glaring down on them now, but it's too late. They should have known better and to group up and mumble together when she was due on the ward. Their faces bob apart, confused. She goes into a crouch and advances on where they're trapped in a huddle at the end of the corridor. She knows what they've been saying, and I can see she's furious, clean out of control. She's going to tear the black bastards limb from limb. She's so furious. She's swelling up, swells to her back, splitting out of her white uniform, and she's let her arms section out long enough to wrap around the three of them 5 or 6 times. She looks around her with a swivel of her huge head. Nobody up to see, just old Broom Bromden, the half-breed Indian back there hiding behind his mop and can't talk to call for help. So she really lets herself go. Her painted smile twists, stretches to an open snarl, and she blows up big and bigger, big as a tractor. So big I can smell the machinery inside her, the way you smell a motor pulling too big of a load. I hold my breath and figure, my God, this time they're going to do it. This time they're going to let the hate build up too high and overload it, and they're going to tear one another to pieces before they realize what they've done. But just as she starts crooking those sectioned arms around the black boys, and they go to ripping at her undersides with the mop handles, all the patients start coming out of the dorms to check on what's the hullabaloo. She has to change back before she's caught in the shape of her hideous real self. By the time the patients get their eyes rubbed to where they can halfway see what the racket's about, all they see is the head nurse, smiling and calm and cold as usual, telling the black boys they'd best not stand in a group gossiping when it is Monday morning, and there is a lot of work to get done on the first morning of the week. Mean old Monday morning, you know, boys? Yes, Miss Ratchet. And we have quite a number of appointments this morning, so perhaps if you're standing here group talking isn't too urgent. Yes, Miss Ratchet. She stops and nods as some of the patients come to stand around and stare out of eyes all red and puffy with sleep. She nods once to each, precise, automatic gesture. Her face is smooth, calculated, and precision-made, like an expensive baby doll, skin like flesh-colored enamel, blend of white and cream and baby blue eyes, small nose, pink little nostrils, everything working together except the color on her lips and the fingernails and the size of her bosom. A mistake was made somehow in manufacturing, putting those big, womanly breasts on what would otherwise have been a perfect work, and you can see how bitter she is about it. The men are standing and waiting to see what she was on to the black boys about. So she remembers seeing me and says, "And since it is Monday, boys, why don't we get a good head start on the week by shaving poor Mr. Bromden first this morning, before the after-breakfast rush on the shaving room, and see if we can avoid some of the disturbances he tends to cause, don't you think?" Before anybody can turn to look for me, I duck back in the mop closet, jerk the door shut dark after me, hold my breath. Shaving before you get your breakfast is the worst time. When you got something under your belt, you're stronger and more wide awake, and the bastards who work for the Combine aren't so apt to slip one of their machines in on you in place of an electric shaver. But when you shave before breakfast, like she has me do some mornings, 6:30 in the morning in a room, all white walls and white basins, and long tube lights in the ceiling making sure there aren't any shadows, and faces all around you trapped screaming behind the mirrors, then what chance have you got against one of their machines? I hide in the mop closet and listen, my heart beating in the dark. And I try to keep from getting scared, try to remember my thoughts of someplace else, try to think back and remember things about the village and the big Columbia River, think about, one time, Papa and me were hunting birds in a stand of cedar trees near the dales. But like always, when I try to place my thoughts in the past and hide there, the fear close at hand seeps in through the memory. I can feel that least black boy out there coming up the hall, smelling out my fear. He opens out his nostrils like black funnels, his outsized head bobbing this way and that as he sniffs. And he sucks in fear from all over the ward. He's smelling me now. I can hear him snort. He don't know where I'm hid, but he's smelling and he's hunting around. I try to keep still. Papa tells me to keep still. Tells me that the dog senses a bird somewhere right close. We borrowed a pointer dog from a man in the Dales. All the village dogs are no-count mongrels, Papa says. Fish gut eaters and no class at all. This here dog, he got in steak. I don't say anything, but I already see the bird up in the scrub cedar, hunched in a grey knot of feathers. Dog running in circles underneath, too much smell around for him to point for sure. The bird's safe as long as he keeps still. He's holding out pretty good, but the dog keeps sniffing and circling louder and closer. Then the bird breaks, feathers springing, jumps out of the cedar into the bird shot from Papa's gun. The least black boy and one of the bigger ones catch me before I get 10 steps out of the mop closet and drag me back to the shaving room. I don't fight or make any noise. If you yell, it's just tougher on you. I hold back the yelling. I hold back till they get my temples. I'm not sure it's one of those substitute machines and not a shaver till it gets to my temples. Then I can't hold back. It's not a willpower thing anymore when they get to my temples. It's a button pushed, says air raid, turn me on so loud, like it's no sound. Everybody yelling at me, hands over their ears from behind a glass wall. Faces working around in talk circles, but no sound from the mouths. My sound soaks up all other sound. They start the fog machine again, and it's snowing down cold and white all over me like skim milk, so thick I might even be able to hide in it if they didn't have a hold on me. I can't see sixes in front of me through the fog, and the only thing I can hear over the wail I'm making is the big nurse whoop and charge up the hall while she crashes patients out of her way with the wicker bag. I hear her coming. I still can't hush my hollering. I holler till she gets there. They hold me down while she jams wicker bag and all into my mouth and shoves it down with a mop handle. A blue tick hound bays out there in the fog, running scared and lost because he can't see. No tracks on the ground but the ones he's making, and he sniffs in every direction with his cold red rubber nose and picks up no scent but his own fear. Fear burning down into him like steam. It's gonna burn me just like that, finally telling about all this. About the hospital and her and the guys, and about McMurphy. I've been silent so long, it's gonna roar out of me like floodwaters. And you think the guy telling this is ranting and raving? My God. You think this is too horrible to have really happened? This is too awful to be the truth? Please. It's still hard for me to have a clear mind thinking on it. But it's the truth. Even if it didn't happen.